Controversy erupts after Catholic high school students are accused of taunting a Native American protester in D.C. For what really happened and the reaction to the fallout, we'll be joined by Covington Catholic High School parent and trip chaperone, Jim Wilson. And the government shutdown continues, but for how much longer? And what's the status of the President's State of the Union address? White House Director of Strategic Communications, Mercedes Schlapp, will tell us. And the Vatican continues to deny it knew about sex abuse allegations against an Argentine. A warm welcome to all of you joining us in the United States and the world over. Jim Wilson, Mercedes Schlapp, Father Gerald Murray, and a tribute to the late Kay Ballard are all straight ahead. You can tweet me at Raymond Arroyo. I'll be live tweeting throughout. Here to share what he encountered last week at the March for Life is the parent of a Covington Catholic high school student and one of the chaperones on their trip to D.C., Jim Wilson. Mr. Wilson, thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Jim, everyone is now familiar with really what happened with all of the kids at the Covington High School, including Nick Sandman, who really became the central figure here when he confronted that Native American activist beating a drum, and which the activist says was an attempt to diffuse tensions between the boy and a very aggressive group known as the Black Hebrew Israelites. Now, here's a bit of a wider video that you might not have seen.
A bunch of incest babies. A bunch of babies made out of incest.
Yeah, you's a cracker. You's a cracker. All of you crackers.
Jim, you were a chaperone on this trip. What did you see, and why did the boys start chanting?
Well, I arrived after some of this had started.
Mm-hmm.
I had a group of boys with me. We were heading from the Washington Monument to the Lincoln Memorial. And as you know, there's steps you walk up. We were walking up the steps, and there were a group of men to the left that I later learned were the Black Israelites, and there were a smaller group of men to the right, which I learned to be the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman with the drum was moving into the crowd of boys.
Mm.
While I was there, waited, the drumming went on, and I did hear things like, "You're from Europe, go home, this isn't your land." But then the Native Americans came out of the group of boys, and the boys exuded no violence on the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. We have video of you here, and you're trying to get the kids to move. I'll let people watch that. Why didn't the group move away, Jim? Did you and the other chaperones try to get these boys, away to stand somewhere else?
Well, I was able to move them back 15 feet. From where they were from the Black Israelites, and I was in between the Black Israelites, those men, and the boys, trying to get a few of their attention. I just want to convey the boys had spent 16 hours on a bus. They had walked all over Washington, D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 5:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't had much sleep. So this whole activity of having grown men yell at them is kind of like being attracted to a car wreck. You want to look away, but you can't.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did start doing was saying, hey, this is like a shiny coin, a shiny coin.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 to 10 of the boys that were there that saw me and knew me said, oh, so we're not supposed to be listening to these guys. I'm like, no, we need to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started saying, let's go home, let's go home. And then everybody took off over the hill to where the buses were coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was early. The buses hadn't arrived yet, but we were out of there.
Mm.
So from the time I arrived and the time the Native Americans left, I did get the boys out of there.
Mm-hmm. Nathan Phillips, this Native American elder, has said he was not trying to stir up trouble. He told the Today Show that he has forgiveness in his heart, but he actually blames the chaperones.
That forgiveness even goes to those chaperones and those teachers who should have just said, you students, this isn't the place. If we ever did meet, it would be those adults. I would like to ask why I didn't have those school administrators there and ask them why didn't they say no.
What would you like to say to Mr. Phillips, Jim?
I have some questions. Why did he feel he needed to confront children?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't he confront the adults that were screaming the profanities? I mean, it's it's not exclusively let me go after the children and do whatever his intent was there.
Mm-hmm.
They were sitting waiting for a bus. They were doing what they have done year after year. I've done 4 of these trips over the last 8 years, and we show up, we have mass, we eat, we sightsee, we do the march, we sightsee, and we show up at Lincoln Memorial. The boys do sightsee around there. They do their cheers on the steps, and we go home.
All right.
So the boys were doing exactly what they have done for years.
Yeah.
The new element were the men that were there that had decided to share their point of view, which came across very negative to the boys.
They were verbally taunting and abusing these kids. I mean, to my eye, to anybody's eye. And I did find it
Yes.
strange that you have a grown man trying to diffuse tension by banging a drum in a child's face. If I tried that in Washington, D.C., I promise you the Capitol Police would drag me away. Phillips also tried to disrupt a mass at the National Basilica.
Well, there were parents there.
Yeah, I want to show people this, though, Jim, first. He tried to interrupt a mass. Phillips also tried to interrupt a mass at the National Basilica the day after the march. Security had to lock the doors to protect the people inside. So he may be this avuncular figure in the media, but he also broke out of jail. He was not a Vietnam vet, we're learning. He was a veteran, but he didn't serve in the theater, as he claimed. What's your reaction to all of that and the tension on him?
My reaction to him is I don't understand the message he's trying to send. And if he were there were parents there. So why go up to a child? Why not go up to the parents? I mean, I arrived later, but there were other parents there that he could have went to and talked to instead of finding a child to bang a drum in the face. And then his friends that were with him were telling the children to go home. They don't deserve to be here. Go back to Europe. They don't deserve this land. Why? How does attacking a child in a controversial statement calm a situation? I think that question needs to be answered.
Jim, as a parent, were you surprised that the Diocese of Covington was so quick to condemn the actions of these students? They said before all the evidence was in, quote, "This behavior is opposed to the Church's teaching on the dignity and respect of the human person. The matter is being investigated, and we will take appropriate action up to and including expulsion." The diocese has now authorized an independent investigation of your children and these other students. Your thoughts?
Thank you for that. What my feeling is on this, since I know people involved, like I know there's good people at the Covenant Catholic School. I've met